Hello, this is Sean with the podcast Thrive Not Survive After Abuse. It's already episode 97. Can you believe it, right? We're getting very close to the 100. Maybe I should plan to do something special at number 100. So listen at least in 3 days from now and we'll find out if I have the inspiration to do that. Tomorrow is, tomorrow when I'm recording it, actually it's today because I'm recording it very late. It is Martin Luther King Day. I'm not going to spend so much time to it. I mean, I admire the man, obviously, and specifically for the vision he had for this country. Um, and a couple of things that I noticed. But if I come a little bit from my own culture and I use another term, which I think is in line with Martin Luther King or Dr. King, as they say nowadays. Um, and then maybe there's one thing that we should take in mind, and that is called unity in diversity. Unity in diversity, and I mean that sounds like a really good, really good quote, right? We have a diverse society. We have definitely in the United States, that's where I'm from, after all, at least for the last 2 decades or so, is it's a very multicultural society, and you see that corporations and other you know, workplaces, social places, churches, and stuff like that is a very multicultural cultural places. Those are multicultural places, which is actually really good. I think we most of us like different cultures if we know with them, but there is also something to live with multiculturals, right? Which is a whole lot more challenging than a lot of people have thought it would be, right? To learn when we travel. I mean, I was very blessed in many ways. My parents actually were not that rich, and we had many kids, and because of that, there was something really funny going on. So I grew up in the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands we have very long, well, maybe not as long as in the US, but pretty long summer breaks, 6 weeks. So it's actually not so long if you compare that to a US situation. But most of the time, the parents and their work also have 4 to 5 weeks holiday. So that kind of matches up, right? In the US, it's kind of weird. I mean, people don't take 2 weeks of vacation from work, but the kids are free for more than 2 months. So that doesn't sync up. In Europe, that syncs up way more. So nowadays, you see that a lot of families, they pack up their stuff and they stay for 3 to 4 weeks at a different place. Now, in the time that I grew up, and that was in the late 60s when we started to do that, we picked up our whole family, and my dad moved us to Spain, right? It was a 2 to 3 days drive, and I've been telling about this, I told this story, I think, in another context as well, but my dad did that. And one of the things that I always liked, by the way, it's not that we were, by the way, rich people, not at all. Actually, it was cheaper for my dad to keep us happy and occupied, so to speak, right? Keep us busy for 4 weeks as kids in Spain than it would be in the Netherlands. Seriously true. The Netherlands has always been a little bit of an expensive country. And so that was sort of the main reasons he did it. And plus that, the weather was super nice on the Mediterranean. But one of the things that I always liked is that we were in a different country, and you learned a little bit more about Spain and their and that, so that was interesting. But most of our daily life for 4 weeks long, and as a kid that was a lifetime, right? 4 weeks long, and we spent most of the time on a camping spot and a camping place, and it was a very nice camping place, and you had a nice swimming pool there, you had some arcades, and you had a little restaurant, a very nice beach, and so it was like, we would call it now a resort, but then maybe you get this idea that we were at a very luxurious place. Now you still slept in a tent, or my my parents slept in a trailer and stuff like that. So, but it was really nice. What was really nice about that is we would make friends because people from France would come in at camping place, from Germany, and from some other countries. But those were the foremost countries, maybe the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and Germany. Some Switzerland people, Swiss people, but that's mostly it, right? People from Spain didn't go on vacation because they didn't have money at that time. It was the time that was still a very poor country. But we were making friends with all kind of different cultures. And you might think, but they're all from Europe. I mean, yeah, they're all from Europe, but Germany is a totally, completely different country. than the Netherlands, and plus. Most of us were not that proficient in all these foreign languages as I'm right now. I mean, I speak several of those European languages now, but as a kid I didn't. So we had to learn how to, play and coexist on that camping spot, and it was like a little mini universe or a little mini world where things could go wrong. Well, we were all in a good mood because we were all on vacation, so we had a little bit less of the tension, but once in a while they would go wrong, and then it was the French against the Germans or stuff like that. Or I remember one year, 1974 to be precise, it was a world championships and they were played in Germany, and so these soccer teams that were playing against Germany against the Netherlands. There was always a really exciting game, but we were all in this camping spot with all these different nationalities, and you saw everyone getting around these little TV sets, and well, one group was for the Netherlands and one group was for Germany. It was all kind of fun, and it could be a little bit tense once in a while, but we had to coexist on that camping place. We had to find some unity in our diversity. So I don't know, maybe because I grew up like that, I always enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. Now here is the thing. Culture-wise, there's still quite a bit of difference between Germany and the Netherlands. But to give me some sort of a big example is, Western countries, right? Western countries, European, even US, our culture is way more direct. You might think that Germans and Dutch people are very direct compared to maybe a person from France, but in a big scheme of things, you can actually say that European countries are more direct if you compare that to Asian countries, for instance, right? Those people, the culture is more indirect. So let me give you an example. In Asia, people don't like to say no. So you phrase a question so that they always can say yes. You might not know that, but I'm half Asian, so I have that a little bit in me. Thought about these things too, by the way, in the past, highly interesting. So those two things were just nice to know. But on that camping spot, there was no one from Japan coming on vacation. We didn't practice those kind of things. But nowadays, you have, like in the US, you have people from all over the world living in one country, which actually I think we should take advantage of that. We should take advantage of the diversity, because it proves also that teams with a lot of diversity, if they know how to coexist and work together, they achieve way more than teams that are from the same make. It's easier that if you work with a team from the same make, so to speak, than a team that's diverse. And it is true in every situation, whether you go to corporate, whether you go to sports, in all these situations, teams with a more diverse background, in the end, they will actually, achieve more than people from the same make. So the latter, the people from the same make, are more efficient, right? They have a more efficiency. It's easier to work, but they don't have the same effectiveness as the people that figure out how to work together. So we say that the US is a melting pot. If you only look at what happened 2 weeks ago in the capital, there is so little tolerance right now for different opinions. We assume that we know things, and actually we start to destroy things like a democracy almost. But we have very little respect for other people's opinions, at least some of them, some of us here in this country. Sorry, I didn't want to be too political, but I want you to teach us all a lesson, is that you have to think about this. We all live in the same country, so maybe you are not the one who's throwing stones and breaking windows in the capital, but there's still people from our society. So it's still our responsibility to do something about it. Yeah, also you. So if you are in a sports team together, and I know yesterday I did a whole talk about that life coaching and coaching about sports might be two different things. You can learn from each other, but be very careful with that. But this is a thing that you could learn actually from sports games and sports teams in specific, is if we play soccer and the Netherlands lose, we cannot say only 5 people of the team lost, but the other one won. right? Even if one was very bad, he made all the mistakes. Let's say the goalie and all these, he didn't stop any ball. The whole team loses. A soccer team, if you don't know that, there's 11 people. It's not one person loses and the rest wins, or one people wins and the rest loses. No, the whole team loses. If 10 people were really good, one person is back, it could cause that the whole team lost the game, and that's just what it is. If you can't take it, don't play the game, right? So, and that's the same with a country. The same with a country, the same in any situation where you can talk about a team. We need to be a team. And I tell you, it's hard. It's harder for a country like the United States to come together because it's so diverse. But trust me, that's what made this country big at some point in time. If we try to make everything the same, we will have a losing game. I can tell you that, right? So it's unity in diversity, and unity in diversity gives us, a lot. That doesn't mean we have to be the same all. On the contrary, we need to be diverse because, if you think about it, we all have unique gifts after all, right? These sound like really good quotes and everyone likes them, right? But if we all have different gifts, maybe there is a possibility that all these gifts work together and then in the end have a synergetic result, right? Does that make sense? I just wanted to say that on a Sunday in going into the Martin Luther King Day, because that's what he said, that we need to learn how to work together. And no, in his time, back in the early 60s, it was predominantly talking about white society need to work together with an Afro-American society, we would say now, but at that time we just say black folks. It's the same thing. I don't want to insult you, but the problem has become more diverse. So let us not polarize too much in literally black and white in this case, right? Let us see where there are other differences and that the differences are actually really good. They are good for us. That could make us an incredibly winning team in this country, right? You have heard me talk about the me consciousness and the we consciousness and the more earth consciousness. This is all belonging in rising up into a consciousness that sets us up for better success. And better success is that we live in a respectful society where we start to incorporate what we do with the people that live around us and eventually, of course, with the world around us. Does that make sense? All right, this was Jean with the podcast Thrive, Not Survive, a little bit more with maybe in political, esoteric type of message, but I like that stuff, so I hope you like it too once in a while. Tomorrow we have another episode of the podcast Thrive, Not Survive After Abuse, but we'll hear that then. All right, you have a good day. Bye bye.